This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Hello and welcome into this week's edition of 21 Questions, the podcast by the people for the people of KC Sports Network, where we answer your questions. I'm Tucker Franklin. I'm very excited to be joined by a good friend of mine. You've probably heard him on this program a few times, like not necessarily 21 Questions, but you've heard him on the KCSN audio channels. It's Sterling Halls, 810 Sports Radio, Arrowhead Addict podcast. You can find him on the Stacking the Box podcast. He's pretty much everywhere. But Sterling, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. By the way, when you said 21 Questions, I immediately thought of 50 Cent, and I immediately had to listen to Get Rich or Die Trying, which, let me tell you, every time you listen to it, absolute masterpiece that is.
It is. And I think that's the perfect vibe to bring to this podcast. Look, if you don't know how this podcast works, and if you're new here, we take questions from our Discord channel. And Sterling hasn't seen the questions, so this is shooting from the hip. I haven't really seen the questions either. I asked for the questions, but I like to be surprised in the moment as well. So if you're not a part of the KCSN Discord server, you can subscribe to the KCSN Substack, kcsn.substack.com. $5 a month, $30 a year, gets you all the written analysis from everybody at KC Sports Network, plus access to this Discord where you get to hang out with us. We've got all kinds of channels from this 21 Questions and some different content channels that we have where you get to contribute to the content and just hang out. We got a game day channel that pops off during game days. It's basically like Twitter. It's a big old group chat. We love it there. But Sterling, you joined some esteemed colleagues from 810 on this show. Jason Anderson has been on this here program. Joshua Briscoe obviously has been on this program.
Shocking.
A little shocking. I think Todd Lebo's been on it too. So I mean, you joined an esteemed group of people from 810 Sports Radio.
If you get Lebo, now we're serious. If you get Lebo, I wasn't going to do it unless Lebo did it.
And look, I don't blame you at all. But let's start with this first question. A little bit of a housekeeping question. I think this question was asked. Yeah, it was asked before the game on Saturday. He said, "When is Jerick McKinnon eligible off of IR?" Look, I think he is eligible right now, but I don't think he's going to come off of IR. Matt Derrick reported on January 2nd that Jerick McKinnon had an abdomen surgery from world-renowned abdomen surgery doctor. I can't remember his name, but he's very good at these abdomen surgeries. And they also found out that he had like a broken pelvic bone, a crack in his pelvic bone or something like that when they went in to do the surgery. So not great, number one. And Blake Bell had the same surgery, I believe, last year in the preseason, and he was out until week 14 of last season. So I do not believe that Jerick McKinnon is coming back. I think he is eligible to come off of IR, but I don't think he's going to be coming back off the IR, Sterling.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he makes it back. And I don't know if he's eligible yet because he would have been placed on it. What day was that?
Let me see. Let me go back and look.
It wasn't that long ago. Either way, whether he is or is not, the odds of seeing McKinnon back this season would be slim to none.
Christmas Eve is when he was put on IR.
Yeah.
So it would be, that's 3 weeks now? So he'd still have another week before he's eligible. I worry that we might have seen Jerick McKinnon's last snap ever, because he is kind of getting up there in age. You know, she's putting back on the 1-year deal. But I think he's 34. I'm going to double check that again. But with a pelvic crack and another injury that he's had to deal with, look, Jerick McKinnon has had to deal with a lot of injuries in his career. I wouldn't be shocked if Jerick McKinnon hangs it up after this.
He's 31, which is the same year as the resurgence of Raheem Mostert. So maybe he wants to have one more resurgence too. We'll see.
We'll just have to find out. But yes, interesting situation there with Jerick McKinnon. And Thanik, he asked us, this was after the game, the Chiefs and Dolphins game, 10:55 p.m. Appreciate the grind there. Will this be remembered as the Ice Stash game or the broken helmet game, Sterling?
Why not both? If I had to pick one, it's going to be the helmet game because that thing is going to get shown all throughout hype videos. Just Mahomes maybe slightly lowering his dome right there. But again, he takes the brunt of the hit and it just shatters. Watching that was so cool. And my first thought was, oh bleep, if you are a helmet manufacturer, you can't be happy right now. But then I thought, okay, maybe you are, because then all the reverberations don't go through the dome. All the energy is getting released into the atmosphere in the shape of a little piece of plastic. Mahomes obviously was fine, but man, that just again shows the toughness, the grit of Mahomes. You probably aren't seeing that in the regular season. He bumps it up another notch in the playoffs. It's over my dead body. I think we'll see that, although I will say the mustache was hilarious. And as a man who a lot of times in my life has had a mustache, it's a real issue. It's a real issue in the cold. You might not think about it. You think it keeps your face nice and toasty. But then you have to realize if it freezes over, that's another thing you got to worry about. I feel you, Andy.
It's one of those things that catches everything. Same thing about beard. I don't really grow a mustache all that well, as you can tell. But it just catches, my beard just catches everything. And sometimes when I'm out there walking the dog, right, trying to get everything sorted out outside, especially in these sub-Arctic, sub-zero temperatures, man, it gets tough out there. But I do agree with you, the broken helmet game. I think the Chiefs had tweeted something out like, what should we call this game? Because they had like the Arctic Bowl and the Freezer Bowl, and this was like, you know, a playoff game in sub-zero temperatures, so it should probably have a rightful name. I don't really know if that kind of thing probably has to happen organically, but I couldn't really think of anything off the top of my head for that. But I do like the broken helmet, that moment to be remembered a little bit more, because if you're Visus, right, like that's the helmet manufacturer, and the helmet cracks, you'll be like, yeah, sorry, we didn't try to test our helmet in minus 30-degree wind chill. That's our bad on that one. The conditions were working against him on that one. But yeah, I was expecting some sort of like PR statement or something from the helmet manufacturer, but I hadn't seen anything as of Tuesday when we're recording this.
No, and they're probably trying to find a PR of how to spin it into a positive. Again, using what I said, maybe the energy was transferred from the helmet into the app, like something like that. That's what I'm waiting to see come out.
And those helmets are designed to like really absorb the hits. Like that's why a lot of like Tua wears the same kind of helmet. Like it really absorbs the hit and disperses it, right? And like it's meant, that outer shell is meant to bend and flex a little bit. And obviously, a little science lesson: when things get cold, they get brittle, so you can't flex as much. That's what happened there. But Rugby Fox, next question here, Sterling asked, which cold game experience would you rather sit through? Deep snow covered and having to clear your seat like Buffalo, or minus 30 wind chill?
Oh, the snow. Snow for sure. Snow has some insulation qualities to it.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know why we're all of a sudden becoming scientists on this show. I'm glad it's science and not math. Math, I'm atrocious at. I had to take it a couple of times in college. Science, now here's something I can get behind. I would dig out, get like a shovel or something, or even just jump straight into the snow pile, and then I'm insulated by that around me, almost like a mini igloo. I do think it was absolutely asinine what the Buffalo Bills organization and the NFL did. They took care of the field, but I mean, imagine you're spending hundreds of dollars to go to a playoff game. You're thrilled, you're excited. You get there, now your seat's in the very middle of all that. You have no idea how to get there. I mean, that is absurd. That to me, I would be absolutely livid if I paid that much money and their seat is a block of ice. Is it bring your own shovel from home day? Like, at least give me some warning, guys. But no, I would say snow, because I do think snow can sometimes insulate you, where if you're having that much wind and it's negative 30 below, you got nothing. You're screwed.
Yeah. There's not much cover there, especially in Arrowhead Stadium. That wind really whips on in there. I tend to agree with you in terms of like the snow. That was a really interesting situation of like they didn't have enough shovelers, and they were telling the shovelers they did have, just clear the walkways. And I think I saw some people say that when the Chiefs had offered some shoveling duties, some shoveling opportunities, they offered $25 an hour. I think some people were taken aback by only $20 an hour offered by the Bills in this mega organization, only offering people who are volunteering their time for $20 an hour. But I do think you make a great point about like the igloo and the snow insulation. Some people don't really think about. People don't really think about the warming qualities of snow. I watch enough survival TikToks to know. Sterling, I don't know how much you're on TikTok, but there's this guy. That was predictable. There is this guy who will go out and just like hike in Alaska, and he's like, yeah, this is, and he'll just make TikToks about like, this is how you survive in a blizzard, and he'll just like make a house and just survive, and like this is like his hobby, and I think that's kind of. I wish I had the balls to do that, right? But I don't. I don't have the balls to do that and hang out there. But
I do not have the stones to do that. No stones to do that.
I didn't have the stones to go out to Arrowhead. I got offered tickets, and I was like, well, obviously we have a post game show, right? And I have obligations for my job. But I was like, man, I don't know if I want to stand out there and all that. I don't know.
Hey, I admit I'm soft, man. Like when everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I wear shorts when it's 12 degrees," I'm like, "Okay, who are you proving this to?"
Right.
Who is sitting by when you walk down the street? Do you expect people to stand up and clap for you? Like, here's an award, sir. Shorts in 12 degrees. Like no, man. Bundle up.
Sometimes I will wear shorts in cold weather just because I forget to check the weather. It's not that I'm trying to be tough. It's just like, oh, I forgot that I have to be an adult and check the weather before I leave the house. I just already had a shirt and t-shirt on, a shirt and shorts on, because I was just around the house and I just left without checking. And I'm like, oh, it's really cold out here. But that doesn't happen in this weather we're having right now in Kansas City. Like that's not happening. That's not happening as I look over at my phone. -1 degree weather right now.
Toasty.
It's a little warm. We have a little heat wave going on right now.
Get the golf clubs out.
I know. We'll see. Lee87 asks, Tucker, do you have a favorite show you produce behind the scenes? It's hard not to say Only Weird Games, right? Those guys are fun. Josh keeps everybody on their toes in that sense. But they are just kind of an unpredictable show. You never know what's going to happen. We can talk about what they're going to talk about before the show, right? And then 5 minutes into the show, they're completely off talking about the 1998 Bulls or something like that. You're like, well, how did this happen? How did this get here? But that's just the beauty of that show, I guess. They're pretty fun to deal with. Obviously, I've known Josh for a long time. The lab is always good, too. But I mean, look, some of my favorite shows, too, like Sean Barber at The Process, when he comes into the office, he brought in Dante Hall. I mean, he's brought in some really cool guys. Trent Green came in to get to chop it up, mix it up with them. Has been pretty cool as well. I always like to do the in-person shows. Those seem to flow a little bit easier when you're in person, Sterling. I'm sure you can agree with that. When you got an in-person guest in studio, it seems to go a lot easier.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. It's why I always have you trying to come to the studio with me.
Yeah.
And then you bail.
Sometimes. Well, I feel like it. Only when I feel like it. That's what I think that's the best ones are doing the in-person interviews that we do from the studio, from the office. I think we've done a couple. Dustin Colquitt's came in. He's supposed to be in for, if you listen to this podcast, BJ Kissel sat down with Dustin Colquitt for about an hour and just basically talked about just telling stories about his time in Kansas City. It's a really good podcast, but he was supposed to be in Kansas City. They've been having some weather in Tennessee, obviously here as well. So this flight got canceled totally, so he wouldn't be back in Kansas City. But I think that those are always my favorite too. So Positivity Toasty, he asked us, Sterling, do you think the Chiefs will retain Mike Dana given the depth of the D-end group and his possible contract worth?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he's getting a ton. A lot of the underlying metrics aren't always good for him. It does seem like he's more of a motor guy, more of a coverage sack guy, which is not a knock against Mike Dana. He has been, and I say all the time, he's been the unsung hero of the Chiefs defense for pretty much ever since he got here, right? Because he has been forced to fill a larger role than any fifth rounder could have possibly imagined, right? He has been a guy that Chiefs have counted on and needed to count on for multiple seasons now. Obviously you want to get FAU involved in the first round or in the upside, but I'm sitting here going, yeah, that's great and all, but I want the sure thing too. You can never have too much depth. FAU is going to be on the team because he's on a rookie contract. I don't think Mike Dana's getting this massive deal. I don't think he's getting a Charles Omenihu contract. Like, Charles Omenihu didn't have a ton of counting stats, right, when he got his relatively large contract from Kansas City, but everyone understood, he was a backup, and when he did play, he shined. He showed flashes of more of this top-end talent. He won quick was a lot of what Charles Omenihu brought to the table. And as you're seeing this year, in the limited amount of games he has played because of the suspension, he's been great. I don't think Mike Dana's market is going to be such that he garners that type of contract. So I do think it behooves Kansas City bring him back. Not only that, he can play on the inside as well, with the petrol inability to find someone who can play alongside Chris Jones on the interior, which again, that's kind of a bigger deal. If Chris Jones is gone, sure, I want Mike Dana back. But again, I think all signs to me would point to Dana being back in Kansas City.
It makes sense. Looking at Spot Track, I was looking it up as you were talking. Average annual salary, what they calculate his market value to be, 16.7. So they project a 3-year, $50 million contract for Mike Dana. I don't think that's too crazy. Also,
isn't it around when Colin Saunders got, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Colin Saunders get something around there like 2 for $12 or
pretty close? It looks like the comparable players they have on here are Carl Lawson, Montez Sweat, Dwayne Smoot, and Draymond Jones as similar contracts, right? Like Dana will be 26, I believe. Yeah, he's 26 and 52. Yeah, so he'll still be 26 when he does sign that contract. It'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see the length of contract too, if they do give it to him, how long they want to keep him in Kansas City for how much. Probably more than. I'll be interested in length rather than money, is what I'm trying to say. In terms of that.
Would you have any sort of trepidation if they do bring him back, what that means for FAU? I'm not saying I do, but I wonder how much we'll see fans, because Carl Loftus will still be there, obviously, right? Charles Omenihu is going to be there, still obviously 1 year left on that contract, obviously, right? Everyone wants to see FAU emerge more and get more playing time to at least see what he can bring to the table. If you bring Mike Dana back, does that give you some sort of, hey, maybe the Chiefs didn't see what they thought they saw in the draft process?
I don't necessarily think so. You can never have too many pass rushers, right? The old saying is you can always have another one. So if you're bringing back Mike Dana, who, as you mentioned, I think he did a very good job articulating how important he's been for this team. Like, he has been a very crucial piece to this team. Not a lot of people talk about, especially on this defensive side of the ball. It seems like a guy that that is Mike Dana. That Steve Spagnuolo really likes Mike Dana, is what I'm trying to say. And a piece that he can kind of move around too. And I think that there's a fit for him. And I think he might be more valuable to Kansas City than he would be anywhere else in terms of how he plays, how he fits in with the scheme. We'll have to find out. But I don't think that there's any reservation to how FAU is progressing if they do bring Dana back. Right? Like, I don't think that would be the red flag to me.
Yeah, 100% agree. And final thought here, the only issue I would see is if someone gives him an Andrew Wiley type deal, right? Where the Chiefs are like, hey, we want to keep you, but you're going to be a starter elsewhere and get paid a little bit more than we can offer. I wonder if Mike Dana gets the same thing here, where Mike Dana has been underrated for a while now, never been an elite guy, but always been a solid guy. I wonder if a team, and especially him himself, says, you know what, that's great, guys, but I want to be a starter. I want to get 75% of snaps. I want to get 80% of snaps. I'm not going to be able to get that opportunity here. That's the only other wrinkle, I think, is what does Mike Dana want?
Right.
Does he want to be a starter, or is he content being more of a rotational piece?
Yeah, and we'll have to find out. Let's go ahead and take a break. We got some more questions coming up from the KCSN Discord. You're listening to 21 Questions, presented by you, the fine folks listening to KC Sports Network. We'll be right back.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
All right, Sterling, diving into the next question here. This one is from Julian K., the wide receiver enthusiast. He asks us, what team are you pulling for in the NFC playoffs?
Lions.
Yeah,
I think Lions are fun. Packers, because it's just a
7 seed.
The 7th seed. But I would say Lions, man. I really like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I had a chance to interview him. If you guys want to ever check that out on Stacking the Box, we have a lot of great interviews from Troy Polamalu. I interviewed Jamar Chase and T. Higgins just the other day. Then obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown. He speaks three languages, which is kind of cool. He's an interesting dude. Like he's an easy guy to root for. And then Jared Goff, just a storyline there. Dan Campbell, how awesome is that for him?
Yeah.
It's really easy to root for this Lions team. You know, what's interesting is I would have said the Eagles a couple of years ago. You know, I lived in Philly for 3 years. The Eagles were always my NFC team growing up for some reason. I loved McNabb, and I also always loved Andy Reid growing up, which has made it for a great marriage when he came here to Kansas City. But all it did was take 1 year of Nick Sirianni this year for me to go, I despise that team. Like, I can't stand that team anymore. When they lost, I'm sitting here going, hallelujah. I can't wait for this guy who's been so vocal and for some reason such an ass to get a hand to him. That's all it took was 1 year. So now that they're out, I'm definitely going with the Lions. I think the Lions are the fun team.
The Bucs are a fun one too, just because of Baker Mayfield, the redemption story, everything like that. They do play the Lions this next week coming up, so one of those teams is not going to move on. And then you have Packers and Niners on the other side. So you have like your traditional powers in one game, and then you have. I don't want to discount the Bucs too much, but they haven't been around all that much.
They won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
I know, but that was Tom Brady. Let's not act like Tom Brady went to an already stacked roster.
It was Tampa Bay. Okay, I get it, but they won a Super Bowl.
They did
recently.
They did.
The Lions before this hadn't won a playoff game since Troy Aikman was quarterback in Dallas. Like that was, what was it, 32 years ago was the last playoff win the Lions had? They're starving, man.
They are. That game will be at home, too, for the Lions. Yeah. So I think it's the Lions. I think it's a natural. It's just the team. It's very. That team's very easy to root for already. If you didn't have the story of them already winning their first playoff game since I've been alive. So that team with Dan Campbell, all those guys, the Jared Goff redemption arc. All that's really good. You got a couple redemption stories going on in that game. And we'll see what the Niners, we'll see with how the Niners respond. And they're a good team, obviously, but they could look, the Packers are hot. Packers are hot right now, man. I mean, they got it cooking with Jordan Love. He threw a couple of balls, Sterling. I don't know if you noticed this, that looked like Aaron Rodgers, like the backpedaling, like fadeaway off the back foot, dimes in the end zone. You're just like, oh no, here we go again.
Yeah, if you are in the NFC North, if you're a Bears fan, you're just like, they did it again. They did it again.
I feel bad for all the NFC North and all the Bears fans out there, truthfully. You can only have so much. All right, this one's from Arrow, in parentheses, pace need. It makes this question a little bit funnier if you put that context. Who is a Pro Bowler for the Chiefs next year who wasn't this year?
Snead, if he's back, obviously, is the easy answer. I'll go back to saying Creed Humphrey, right? No, Creed was a Pro Bowler, but he
was a Pro Bowler, not All Pro.
Not All Pro. I'll go saying Butker, right? Because it was Aubrey and Tucker, correct, for the two Pro Bowl spots. I'd say Harrison Butker. I think he's back to being fixed. He was injured the previous season. I was talking with Nick Lowry about this, and we all had the same thought process where it was more injury related, which then became a little bit of the mental side. He needed some time off. He got it, came back this year. He's fully healthy, and you see the difference. That's a great question. I think Charles admitted who might be a underlying guy. I mean, you saw what he did in just the limited sample size again. I mean, I guess not limited. He still played, 11 games in the regular season? He missed 6.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, 8 sacks, 7.5 sacks, something like that?
Career highs and everything.
And so I think that could be a fun one to make a case for. Trip McDuffie was not Pro Bowl, but was all pro. So I'd say McDuffie would be the other guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hit him pretty good there. I'll say Jawan Taylor. would love to see Jawan Taylor go to a Pro Bowl level the next year. If that's the case, if I'm picking a guy to play at a Pro Bowl level that hadn't this year, I'm going to pick Jawan Taylor. That's the guy I'm going to pick.
Hey, man, yeah, and I want you to pay me $1 million for being on this. That ain't going to happen. Dog, Jawan Taylor. We don't have to get into that because I've had many a rant on Jawan Taylor, but I wouldn't bet on it.
I'm trying to be optimistic here, Sterling. I'm trying to keep an optimistic tone heading into the Chiefs game with the Bills. But Julian K also asked, Tucker, have you chugged the new non-alcoholic White Claws yet? I have not. I was at the Hy-Vee liquor store the other day. I think I did see them.
Rasheed Rice. Rasheed Rice. We're idiots. We're dumb. Someone is yelling at us right now. Rasheed Rice, yes.
There it is. No, you're right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you there, but my
you did startle me, but I appreciated you. Yeah.
Pete Braden sitting here going, oh my gosh, I can just picture someone yelling at us right now, yelling, Rasheed Rice, you idiots. What if I said
Troy Franklin?
Sure, baby.
Okay, let's go with we'll go with that one. But Julian, no, I have not chugged the new non-alcoholic White Claws yet. I believe they are the same flavors as the regular White Claws, so I would think they would taste the same, but I've not tried them. I might have to. Kind of see.
Drink a LaCroix. At that point,
it basically is a LaCroix, and I've got some Liquid Death back here in the old. This is gonna be a visual bit here. That's my drink cooler. That's my drink fridge right there. Merry Christmas to me. Got myself a beer fridge.
Look at you go.
My office is a bar. Free sick.
See, I thought about that too. Mine's in the basement though. I have a little beverage fridge down there. But see, I keep this. You got some Woodford right there just for special. I always keep some bourbon up here.
Yep.
That's the little special edition one. I went down to Louisville to get that bad boy. Big bourbon guy. Yeah.
Holiday Distillery. I got a Ben Holiday bottled and bond bourbon up here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera.
No, but we could do a little bourbon exchange.
We could.
Or I could just rob you. I don't know. No, allegedly. I'm not. I don't wear wolf suits. Allegedly, of course.
This question, Kyle C asked this question to me, but Sterling, I think that you can answer it as well because I think it fits for both of us. He says, Tucker, would you root for KU in football one time per year if that in tournament Missouri had a greater than 10% chance at the college football title every year, or not root for KU at all and Missouri would never have a chance for the title?
It's a real catch-22 here, huh?
It is, isn't it?
Joseph Heller wrote this question. Damn. I think I would, because as much as it would pain me, seeing Mizzou go to the top would be even better. You say, oh, congrats. We rooted for you one game, but now look, Mizzou's at the pinnacle, right? You can get two, but who's number one? And that's what would really matter. Damn, that's painful.
I'll look at their schedule. Let's try to spin zone one where we can feel good about tweeting about support. Wow, I accidentally clicked on Kansas City Chiefs schedule, not Kansas football schedule. You can tell my Google's like, you didn't mean to type in Kansas football schedule. Like, it's like you don't want to look at that. But we can look at the schedule and we can try to spin zone something and to be like, okay, we can justify the one game for greater than a 10% chance. I mean, that's a pretty solid chance. Like that's I'll take those odds all day. They play Lindenwood the first game of the season.
Well, there you go. Isn't that St. Louis?
It's true.
Isn't Lindenwood St. Louis?
It is.
I mean,
it's St. Louis.
That's probably the one.
Missouri State, Illinois, Nevada, BYU, Texas, UCF. Hang on a second. This is last year's schedule. What are you doing to me, Kansas website? I started getting through there, and I was like, there's no way this is next year's schedule.
You know what you should type in your internet browser? Kansas 2024 football schedule.
I know, but it took me to 2020. They don't have their full schedule out yet. Lindenwood, Illinois, and UNLV are the two games that they have on the schedule as of right now. Barry Odom played for UNLV. Coaches for UNLV. Do we hate him enough to cheer for Kansas against him?
No, just because he was asked as the head coach at Mizzou doesn't mean that I want to sit here and root against a true son.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great point. Crap. Well, I was thinking maybe like in the Kansas Kansas game, could you justify cheering for Kansas?
No.
Tough.
It's Lindenwood. It's St. Louis, man. That's the other wrinkle.
Yeah, it would have to be.
I'm just not a ketchup on my pizza type of guy, on a cracker and calling it pizza with fake cheese. Sorry, I'm out. It's not me.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that picture? I'm sure you have, of the saltine crackers laid down with the American cheese slices on the ketchup on top, and it says St. Louis style pizza. Oh gosh, I will give them this. I will give St. Louis this. Toasted raviolis are pretty good.
Yeah, toasted ravs.
They're pretty good.
They're good.
Don't cut your bagels the way that you want to cut those bagels. Don't do that. Don't do anything else, but just give us the toasted wraps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I probably would cheer for Kansas for one game if that meant they had a greater than 10% chance to win the title.
I mean, I literally have the Mizzou football over my shoulder right there.
Is that signed?
Yeah. This one I think is Denario Alexander.
Oh, underrated Missouri.
Yeah.
Underrated Missouri.
I got my Bladen Gabbert photo down the stairs. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I think we got a question about Blaine Gabbert and backup quarterbacks here coming up pretty soon. Have you ever had Cookie Society cookie?
A what now?
Cookie Society from Jeff Allen, his cookie company?
No, I've not. No.
Oh, buddy. Casey from KCS, the favorite Cookie Society cookie, it's banana pudding for me. That one is incredible. It might not sound very good if you don't like banana pudding, I guess. But it is one of those that is like, why does this taste so much like banana pudding? Like, it's one of those cookies you're just like, holy cow. Absolutely floored. We're going down to Dallas in a couple of weeks, actually, for the East-West Shrine Bowl. And I'm definitely going to be hitting up Cookie Society, going and finding myself some stuff there. Look, hey, you should check it out, though, Sterling. They got their monthly 6-pack out right now. They got, obviously, the chocolate chip, but the butter cake cookie. Stop it. Oatmeal raisin. I'm a big oatmeal raisin fan. I know a lot of people don't like oatmeal raisin cookies.
Oatmeal raisin. Sorry that if you hate oatmeal raisin, you need your taste buds to grow up. I'm sorry. I have very strong cookie takes here. Chocolate chip is the Derek Jeter of cookies. Might say, so you mean it's a Hall of Famer? Yeah, it's a Hall of Famer, but it's always overrated. It's really good. Chocolate chips, you know it's going to be consistent. But is it the best of all time? No, but folks are trying to make you believe it is. They're liars. It's not. Oatmeal raisin has been perpetually underrated. It's like Nolan Ryan throwing a no-hitter when he was 42. Come on now. Okay. Have your taste buds grow up. Now, that's a real cookie. I'm also a fan of anything key lime pie. So key lime pie cookie, I'm all the way in. And snickerdoodle.
Oh, they got a snickerdoodle on here. And their snickerdoodle.
That's number one.
Snickerdoodle is very good. The big one, I think the headliner this month for the Cookie Society cookies, Cosmic Brownie cookie. If you're into the Cosmic Brownies, into the Little Debbie Cosmic Brownies, it looks like one. It's even got like the little candy covered chocolate chips on top of it. Go get yourself some of that. So a little bit of plug for Jeff Allen and Cookie Society. But we're going to do another plug, Sterling, is DraftKings Sportsbook, unofficial sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, is bringing you an offer that'll help make the playoffs electrifying. New customers can bet $5 on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Last time I checked at DraftKings Sportsbook, Chiefs are dogs, minus 2.5 in favor of the Buffalo Bills. 2.5-point dogs going on the road in Buffalo for Patrick Mahomes' first game. So if you want to make a little bit of cash, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code KCSN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
You nailed it.
That one felt really good off the hand. I'm not gonna lie. Reading that disclaimer, I was like, wow, I'm breezing through this sucker.
Yeah.
I've read it a couple times already, so like I've got it kind of down, but like that one felt really good.
I'm proud of you. No, I wanted to give you some props because that was it was nice.
It's like I do this for a living or something. Who would have thought? Rugby Fox, he asked, what rule change would result from this Chiefs-Bills playoff game?
Okay, if you want a serious one, like that's really funny.
Yeah.
If you want a serious one, I wonder if they'll eventually, with the quarterback, the fake slide.
That's an interesting one.
I mean, that one might hurt the Bills, but it also might hurt Kansas City because I'm not going to sit here and lie and say Mahomes has never done something that would be potentially penalized. I mean, Mahomes once or twice has, I wouldn't say fake slid, but you know where he kind of slows down and you're like, okay, he's sliding, and he goes. Well, Josh Allen did it yesterday in the 52-yard run, right?
Yeah.
It was great. Rumbling, stumbling. He even trucked a dude. But I'm sitting here going, if you want a legit rule change and two quarterbacks who probably would, this would affect the most. Wow, balloons going on.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, huh?
That's pretty sick. Listen, if you're listening to this on the audio side, you're not going to understand what just happened. That's why you got to go to the video side to check out all the balloons that just came all over Sterling. That was insane.
Yeah, my computer was like, dude, good idea. Yeah, let's throw a party for this. But I think if the two quarterbacks would affect the most would be Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I do think there should be a situation, because if you're a defensive player, you're sitting here going, okay, I can't lay you out, because in the same game against the Bills, they got a late hit penalty against Josh Allen, right? Unnecessary roughness. And then if you kind of give up, well, he runs right over you, runs right by you. I mean, I did need the fake slide, so I know it's a joke question, but I think there's a real answer that could potentially happen coming from this game.
And Lee87 asked, do you think the NFL will address the Josh Allen fake slide scandal, or should they address it? When I watched it back, like when I watched that play live, I didn't think it was a fake slide. Like the fake slide did not come through my brain. Like it did not like pass my train of thought. I was like, wow, that was kind of crazy, because I think he was in the middle of the field. He did slow down a little bit, right? But I took it more as he was just trying to figure out where, because that block was right in front of him. I felt like he was trying to read that block to where he was going to go. Now I can see how a defender would take it as a fake slide, his little stutter, slow down, everything like that. But as you mentioned, Patrick Mahomes does the thing where he like runs to the sideline and then we'll just turn it up really quick just to get a couple more yards. Like, yeah, I'm going to go out of bounds in a couple more yards type of deal. But that is really interesting. I saw a lot of, like, I tried to watch that play back so many times this morning when I was like, man, I don't know. It's not like the Kenny Pickett fake slide, right? Like the Kenny Pickett fake slide was like a toe drag on everything, and he got the guy good. And I don't think it's to that extent of a fake slide. But I don't know if this one specifically, this one instance will be the one that makes a rule change.
For me, and no, not that one specifically. That's not going to spark it, but I do think there's going to be conversation just in general. If you want to really fix it, just make quarterbacks like everyone else. When they get in the open field, they are everyone else. Okay? Because sure, I'm all for protecting the quarterback, the money, all that stuff. I'm with you, but it's their decision, and you're now making it nearly impossible for defenders. So if you want some fairness and an easier way for the refs to not blow this, just make him a runner, like a running back or a wide receiver.
I agree. Look, especially with a quarterback like Josh Allen, like you can't.
He's like 250. What are you?
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do?
I felt bad for Miles Jack, especially on that drive. He had 2 penalties that kept the drive alive with the personal foul, and then he had the holding earlier on. Like, what is Miles Jack supposed to do? I get that he hit him late. Like, Josh Allen was like already on the ground. That was a late hit. Like, you can't really argue with that very much. But like, he just ran for 52 yards by hesitating a little bit. So, look, I understand the frustration. I do. I get it. All right, next question here. Julian K asks us, how long after the game ended did you wait to cancel Peacock?
I didn't have to. If you live in Kansas City, you didn't have to.
That's true.
Peacock. So, that's my answer. Was
did you have Peacock to begin with?
I think we have it. my fiance might have it for something.
If she likes the reality TV shows, the Bravo shows.
Oh yeah. Southern Charm, I think, is on that one. So
she has Peacock.
yeah, we have Peacock. Then yeah.
No, for sure. Like Tara, my girlfriend, loves the Bravo shows. Vanderpump Rules.
Oh yeah, she loves that one.
Yeah,
I will
it's all
say, with like Southern Charm, what is a little fun is because she'll watch football with me because it's my job. Have to watch football. Sorry, babe, got to watch Johnsonville Sausage Cornhole replay on SEC Network. Got to watch that one for work. So I'll watch occasionally some of her reality shows. Like Southern Charm's kind of fun because it's like so bad, it's great, right? And what I'll do is I'll pour myself some bourbon or like a martini and watch. And once you're, a martini or bourbon deep, you're sitting here like, oh yeah, I'm getting into it too. I'm like, you're right. That guy is a scumbag. Like you're really starting to get into it. So it does make it kind of fun.
That's what happened to me. Vanderpump Rules. I would always like hear it. My girlfriend would like play in the other room when I'm in the office, right? And I just like hear a situation go down. I was like, that guy really sounds like a piece of shit, man. Like that guy sounds like he's not a good guy. And then I did caught myself watching for longer periods of time, and I said, why would he do that? That's such an awful move. He's such a terrible person. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, now I'm invested in these people's lives.
Yeah, Tucker looks over and goes, well, I would never do that.
Ultimate Riz right there. Ultimate Riz. Okay.
Younger you, dude. Saying Riz, man.
I like to stay up on the internet trends, Sterling. It makes me feel younger. I'm only 25.
So there you
go. Yeah. Technically Gen Z. Think about that for a little bit. B. Higgs. He asked us if you could pick one non-Mahomes player to have a career best game on Sunday, who would it be?
I think an easy answer would be L'Jarius Sneed, but he's been having career best games every single game. I mean, he's been locking up everyone, so I kind of want to go outside the box here a little bit, Is it outside the box to go Chris Jones? I mean, Chris Jones, I don't really think it's outside the box since he's part of the big four now. If you want to say L'Jarius Sneed, Chris Jones, Travis, and Mahomes, I think you can make the case that that's the big four. Nick Bolton, maybe? Nick Bolton, he's going to have his hands full with James Cook and how they decide to do a spy. What was interesting last game was you saw Nick Bolton and Drue Tranquill in the field sometimes at the same time, which I love to see.
Yeah.
In that case, though, you're probably having Drue Tranquill as the spy, so maybe he's the guy you tab. That's a really good question. Who are you going with? I'm thinking more defensive, and I'm thinking someone who can really stop either a James Cook or a Josh Allen / in between with the tight ends. Like I think linebacker play is going to be paramount in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be really big. And the first time these two teams played, I believe James Cook had led the team in receiving, and he had a pretty big day. That was Bolton's first game back off of the IR.
Yeah.
So the Bills clearly
had that game. Drue Tranquill did not play that game.
Correct. I think he went out in the first or second play because that's when he got his concussion. And that was something that the Bills, I think, clearly made a point to attack the linebacker position. They already were going to. That was already the game plan before Drue Tranquill went out. But they were well aware of we're going to attack the linebackers. And maybe that's just how they like to play, right? With the tight ends and the running backs and everything like that. We saw the same thing against the Steelers. They love to throw the ball to their tight ends. And rightfully so, they've got some good ones. They've got some good tight ends. Linebackers is going. The first time I read that question, I thought Chris Jones. That was the first one that came to my head. Was just Chris Jones, if he has a career day in the playoffs, that's gonna be we're playing an AFC Championship game. That will be huge. But man, it would be super nice if Kadarius Toney could have a career day. It'd be super nice if he could see the field. Yeah. If he does play. But other than that, man, I mean, Rashee Rice, his performance was really impressive. I thought it was very funny that, Rashee Rice, 130 yards on the day. Really good performance. I think top 5 in terms of single game playoff performers as a rookie. DK had that record for 180 some yards. That Puka broke the next day. So it's like one of the things where like Puka came out there and it was like, oh, Rashee Rice thought that he was going to have the best rookie wide receiver performance on the AFC wildcard round. He didn't. Not in the wildcard round. That was Puka, which played really well, but they lost. So Rashee Rice, best performance that in a win, you could say, arguably to say. But I do think it's probably on the defensive side of the ball. I like the Drue Tranquill one. If Drue Tranquill has a career day, has a career best day against Josh Allen as the spy, you would think that just like with his athletic ability, he would be the spy in that situation, not afraid to hit, not afraid to move laterally, stuff like that. If you can really, and there's a thing with like Nick Bolton and Drue Tranquill, you get them on the field, they complement each other. There's such good compliments to each other because what Nick Bolton might not do well, Drue Tranquill does well, and what maybe Drue Tranquill might not do well, Nick Bolton does well. I think that's a good little combination to have them out there at the same time.
And then you also have Willie Gay Jr., which the Bills are going to run a lot of 12 personnel with Dalton Knox obviously back. And Dalton Knox, right? And then Dalton Kincaid. Are they both Dalton?
Dawson Knox.
I'm like, I'm getting this wrong.
I was like, you just mixed them together. And I was going to roll with it because I was like, I get it. Like, I understand. Dawson Knox.
I know it's not Dalton Knox, but I can't figure out. I know it's a D. Yeah, Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid, they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. I'd have to imagine with both healthy. You saw it this past week with them.
Yeah.
They were both very effective. Kincaid's a little more explosive, which means you might have to see a little more base package from Kansas City, which you don't typically see a lot of, actual 4-3, as far as you might see Drue, Nick, and Willie Gay Jr. on the field at the same time. Again, it's going to be up to Spags, and I trust him. He's a big game coordinator, baby. He's been great all season long, but he always seems to bump it up in the playoffs. But I'm intrigued to see how he tries to counteract that, because the Bills want to get as many linebackers on the field as possible, right? Because if they think they can't take advantage of McDuffie, of L'Jarius, and just the secondary in general, well, they want to get as many linebackers on the field at one time because they think they can do it inside the hashes, right? So if that's the case, 12 personnel. This will be a fascinating matchup to watch.
I think so too. It's gonna be the area to watch for sure. Last question here. This one's from Casey and Casey. Should the Chiefs upgrade their backup quarterback next season?
I don't think it matters that much. Quite frankly, I'm kind of off it now. I think Blaine Gabbert is a backup quarterback. For everyone who is upset by him, I don't understand it. Like, this is not me trying to be a Mizzou guy, but like, he played better than anyone on the Steelers. He'd be QB1 on the Steelers. He's been better than anyone on the Patriots, better than anyone on the Jets or the Giants. Like, you look around the Falcons, you look around the NFL, this is what a backup quarterback looks like. Like, if you expect him to all of a sudden say, okay, Mahomes is out, so now we have a guy who throws the ball like Joe Burrow. Like, no, that's not how this works. Like, no, it's not Tyrod Taylor or Gardner Minshew, but those guys are going to earn themselves a ton of money in the offseason, right? As a legit backup quarterback. Like, backup quarterbacks, if you are that good, you get a lot of money. Chase Daniel was that for a long time. Blaine Gabbert is a backup quarterback who, again, by the way, still drove down when it mattered most and helped the Chiefs win the game. Right. Again, not a playoff game and a meaningless game, but still, like Chad Henne, when Chad Henne got his number called, what happened? He drove down the clutch gene. Mm-hmm. Andy likes these veteran guys who he thinks that in a one moment sample size, can they get it done? He likes that. Sometimes maybe the young cats, he thinks they might get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So as much as I wanted to see, even Shane Buechele for the past couple seasons, but the past 2 years I wanted Shane Buechele. I'm now understanding where Andy's coming from. And it's hey, if you have to go in there in the middle of a game, who do I trust more? Not to start a game, the middle of the game. A veteran who has been there and done that, or a rookie who, again, maybe has never had the opportunity, not his fault, but again, he's never done it. Right. He's going to go with the veteran. So as far as upgrade, no, I think you're still going to look at a veteran, if not Blaine Gabbert, another veteran backup QB.
I don't think we should have a revisionist history when it comes to Chad Henne's career. He wasn't a great quarterback. He had some great moments for the Chiefs as a backup quarterback, for sure. And he will ever be, Chiefs Kingdom will love him for that. I love him for that. But we shouldn't act like Chad Henne was like stud.
Or Pacheco's run didn't happen.
Fair. Also very fair. The same thing with Matt Moore. Like, Matt Moore before, I know that he started those, 3 games? for the Chiefs during when Patrick Mahomes was hurt. It's not like he was a stud quarterback before that. They don't need Gardner Minshew as a backup, right? Like Blaine Gabbert did only sign a 1-year contract on the veterans minimum benefit, so like he doesn't even like count against the cap technically. So like I don't know why people would be upset about bringing back Blaine Gabbert. Like I think that's a fine backup. Look, it's really whoever Patrick wants, right? Whoever Patrick wants to be in that room with him, I'm cool with. If whoever Patrick wants to bounce ideas off of, loves the game, stuff like that. Chase Daniel spoke very highly of Blaine Gabbert when I was talking to him before one of our shows. It was just like his knowledge of the game. Like he knows a lot about football, and I think that's probably what Patrick really likes, is be able to talk about the game and bounce ideas off of and have that whole schematic discussions with a guy like that. I know that's kind of what Chad Henne was. It's kind of like what Matt Moore was for him. So to have another guy like that who is experienced, who's a veteran in the league, and look, Blaine Gabbert was drafted really high in the draft, like
10th overall, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, and like they have those experiences of like both being taken high, and you can see kind of where the career trajectories go and kind of where they intersect.
Both have strong arms.
both have really strong arms. But I think that there's some similarities there between the two quarterbacks. But Sterling, I appreciate you hopping on. Appreciate you joining me for 21 questions. I have to have you on again. A lot more laid back of a show than what we normally do. Got to answer some fun ones. But any final thoughts before I let you go?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited about the Chiefs because I think they showed something in the playoffs where it's almost like the Golden State Warriors or even the Patriots in the past, where the regular season they might almost sleepwalk through, and you're sitting here going, "What's wrong? Are they done?" And then all of a sudden they get to the playoffs, they go, "Oh no, they're going to be fine." I think the defense is elite. I think if the Chiefs score 23-plus points in any single game in the playoffs, they will win that game. So the offense, just take care of the football. Even if you have to settle for field goals at times, that is not the worst case scenario. Get to 23, you win the game. 13 seconds was the start. Beating the Bills in Buffalo will be the finish. That Bills team will get blown up. I firmly believe the Chiefs beat the Bills in Buffalo. Not saying Josh Allen's gone, but I think you're probably looking at a coaching change. Obviously, defensively, you have so many 30-plus-year-old players. Matt Milano's great, but he's been injured. It seems like a lot now. Tre'Davious White, kind of the same thing at corner. So I do think if the Chiefs beat the Bills in Buffalo, you might be looking at the end of the current iteration of this Bills team, which would be kind of fitting.
Heard it here first. It's going to be an exciting time to watch this game. If you're in the Kansas City area and you don't have a place to watch the game, come hang out with us. Holiday Distillery. Check the KCSN socials. We got an RSVP link up there. Don't just show up. We need an RSVP. We need to know how many people are going to be there. We got Mission Tacos going to be out there giving us food. There's going to be drinks. Obviously, we're at a distillery. You can be drinking out there, eating tacos. Hanging out with us as we're going to be doing the post-game show live from Holiday Distillery. Great place up there. Doors will open at 4:30. I believe the game is at 5:30. Kind of a weird kickoff time, truthfully, on Sunday. 5:30 kickoff time. Doors will open at 4:30. We'll be up there hanging out with us. So, Sterling, appreciate you as always. I'm Tucker Frankel. We'll talk to you guys next time on 21 Questions. We'll see you soon.